BMA is a tool designed to help biologists better understand biological networks. We think about cells as if they are running a certain program that leads them to behave in a certain way. And we want to understand those programs, but we don't really have the code, we don't have the recipe, we don't have the set of instructions that tells the cell how to operate in order to eventually divide or die, for example. BMA is exactly the tool that allows us to get a glimpse into these cellular programs that are running inside the cells. For example, it can easily and systematically help us identify what kind of interactions between genes and proteins make a cancer cell.
It's a way to shortcut the sort of lengthy procedures that a biologist would have to do. So, for example, if they were doing an experiment, they might have to leave something overnight in the lab, come back. And what they'd get is a sort of small set of results about a very particular sort of subsystem of a biological organism. What BMA allows you to do is model almost everything in that system at once.
And of course that's of tremendous value for researchers. So before we go into the lab and spend countless hours trying to do complicated experiments, we can run them in the computer first and see what happens and what could happen, or what would happen if we did this or that.
It's like a canvas, and you drag and drop the entities, whether they are cells or proteins or genes, and the interactions between them. And then with the click of one button, you basically run sophisticated analysis, but everything runs at the back end. So in the front end, everything is very visual, very graphical. It was designed to be used by experimental biologists and clinicians, and everyone that is doing either biological research or medical research. And this is a community that is, by definition, not necessarily with any expertise in programming.
The Biomodel Analyzer is a way of exposing some very, very powerful algorithms in a very user-friendly way to have people who don't have the expertise to actually design these algorithms, but give them the power to actually use them.
It's as simple as using any word processor or calculation program. You can just click and drag connections, cells, genes, regulations, proteins, and that's really the key, how to make this possible.
So you're basically bringing a whole new field of formal verification and formal methods, which is really, really very heavy, in a very lightweight, to a completely different new community that can actually now harness these kinds of methods for their own use. In order to do this, and in order for BMA to realize its potential, we had to have a multidisciplinary team. So experts in formal verification, programmers, a graphical designer, and an expert in HCI, human-computer interaction, and biologists. And you have to bring all these diverse expertise together in order to get something as amazing as BMA.
My specialty is finding proofs, but then writing software to find proofs about models of systems. The biologists and mathematicians and logicians typically speak quite a different language, and so we use art, design, and social science to try and bridge that gap.
When I came to the team, the BMA team, the tool was effectively a command line interface, required some knowledge of programming, so you'd have to sit there and sort of hack away at the tool, as it were. So we built, if you like, a skin over the tool that allowed people to drag and drop things, that sort of allowed them to punch in numbers. The design wasn't just about making it pretty or functional, it was about sort of building a tool that our biologists would begin to understand that they were thinking about their phenomena differently.
Well, with our ambition to understand more about biology, with our ambition to increase the scale of things that we want to know about biology, there is basically no choice but to scale up and use computer power essentially to accelerate and enhance understanding.
You bring these worlds together that on the face of it feel very different. Computer science or computation on the one hand and biological modeling on the other, and yet some of the problems are the same. It's about modeling complexity.
BMA is currently at a stage where it's ready to be used by biologists and also by clinicians and other people that are conducting medical research. So the next step is to continue teaching BMA in universities and introducing it to students so they can use the tool for their everyday research life. The second thing is to establish working collaboration with pharmaceutical companies that can then use the tool for drug discovery. I think that the main reason that this is so amazing is the fact that you can address questions that are key questions in biological research for so many years, but in a completely different perspective. And it also opens up the floor for a whole new sets of questions that shed whole new different light on very fundamental problems.